Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners and influencers and coaches. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can scale profitably. And today I am joined by Robby Berthume from Bull and Beard. What's up, Robby? How you doing, man?
Doing well. How about you?
Good. Was there a little delay there? I don't know if that was my side or your side.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
The crazy interwebs, you can never rely on them. Where are you calling in from today? Or where we?
Winston-Salem, North Kakalaki. So never thought I'd end up here, but ended up here about, 8 years ago. So moved around a lot as a kid and as an adult. So lived in kind of LA, Chicago, Florida, Tampa, DC, I mean, you name it. But really like Winston. Have some plans to move down to Orange Beach next year.
Nice.
My wife's got a lot of family down there, and it'd be nice to be by the water, and have 3 kids under 8, so they'd like to swim at the beach, but that's kind of the direction I'm plotting.
Cool, man. Well, we're going to get into your amazing story, and you're doing mainly connecting and coaching agency owners. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're not really doing so much on the coaching side anymore.
Okay.
We typically bring in coaching recommendations or consultants, resources to help agencies. But
Perfect.
really the meat and potatoes is matchmaking brands with agencies. We have a directory, and then we also have a community of agency owners.
Awesome. So we're going to hear all about that amazing story and how you, the journey that you've taken to get there in a second. So we're going to hear all about your awesome story in a second. But as we start off every show, we have like a little current event / personal story. And there's an aspect of your story that I connect with very deeply. And it's the mental health journey that you've been going on. As I've mentioned a few times before on other shows, I had a very, very difficult childhood, and then my dad died of cancer when I was 26 years old in 2007. 3 days before my 27th birthday, he died of cancer. So I, ended up having to go with therapy. I'm a huge advocate of therapy, and I know that you have like a mental health story as well. So let's talk about that, man. So tell me just really, really quickly, how mental health has affected you and your business and your life and your take on it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we'll get to my story in terms of, kind of the agency world, career path wise, but I started young at 14, and I had a lot of stress on me from an early age. And, so I always struggled with anxiety. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and, was taking Klonopin was my go-to drug as far as, just getting medicinal help for the anxiety and the panic attacks that I was having. And I've ended up taking Klonopin really the last, 13 years. Tried to get off of it a couple of years ago, and it just didn't go so well because I'm a super anxious person. But on the other side, it was interesting because the anxiety in many ways, drove, I think, a lot of the success that I had in business, because I was always, sort of overthinking and overworking and just bringing a certain level of perseverance and tenacity to what I was doing. So it kind of worked to my advantage. It was interesting though, as I grew older, my late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, I would have periods where I just had limitless energy. I mean, I felt like I literally took the limitless pill and just could do anything and, conquer the world and, sign any deal. And it was incredibly effective from a business perspective because, the decimal point started to shift as I was growing my first agency. And, I started to just, get into bigger and bigger territory from a business perspective because I had this confidence that was coming. But then there were also periods where, I was more, not really depressed, but just kind of, wanting to withdraw, wanting to kind of isolate myself, maybe cancel meetings, maybe just kind of take a step back from what's going on because it was all too much. And I always attributed that to anxiety. But what happened was about 3 years ago, I was during the summer, basically just a period where I kind of broke down. I mean, just to be frank about it, I mean, I was going through a really severe depression, and I was in my bedroom a lot of the time, just kind of hiding from the world and scared that, I was going to going to lose things around me, and my business was going to be affected, and, you know, relationships were going to be affected. And it certainly has affected relationships. As far as, you know, my relationship with my wife, for example, you know, it was taking a toll, the depression, the negative energy. And so ultimately, I finally got help and went in to see a psychiatrist and see a therapist, and was diagnosed with bipolar I. And in addition to anxiety, and you know, essentially it opened my eyes. You know, I didn't want to play the victim card and just attribute, okay, well, that's because I have bipolar and now I can get away with this. I mean, that's
Right.
something that was not in my mind at all. It was more, okay, now I know, you know, what's how my brain works a little bit more. Let me do some more research to figure out how do I, you know, optimize things and really, you know, take advantage of the gift that bipolar is. And so I kind of, you know, launched into this journey of just, you know, coming up with routines and behaviors and ways of balancing myself out and staying present. And the right medications took 9 months to kind of find the right mix. But I got to a point where, you know, things were very evened out, and my mood was even. And, you know, the downside was the highs weren't so high and the lows weren't so low. You just feel a little bit numb to things.
Mm-hmm.
But the cost benefit analysis, it was worth it, because I had just felt a lot more stability in terms of my day-to-day productivity and you know, moods. And so, you know, that's been a big focal point for a couple years. And then over the last year, it's just been more on autopilot. I've got the right systems and things in place for myself where I feel like I have a good handle on it. And it, you know, I just focus on the positive things that it brings my way. Because, you know, mania or hypomania, which is kind of the lower level, that's not like full like Superman mode, but it's comes with positive benefits like energy, and you don't have to sleep, and you can just get insane things done. And people used to think I was a machine. I mean, they would be like, "This guy is crazy." I mean, look at him. I'm like, yeah, I am crazy, but look at what he's doing. And you know, but when the depression hit, that's when I was like, I can't live like this. I can't. The mania is one thing. I can handle that. Honestly, it's you get a lot of work done, but the depression is too much. And so I've been, you know, really blessed to get through that period. And then, you know, to be perfectly candid as well. I mean, after that period of kind of optimizing myself for about a year, I also then, you know, my marriage started to fall apart, and, you know, been married for 9 years going on 10. And, you know, a lot of that was, I think, attributed back to me and my behavior, and, you know, the way that I was conducting myself, and you know, the toll that some of the you know, things that I've said and done over the years took. And so I was really, really worried about, this was only about a year ago, really scared that, you know, I was going to lose my wife and, you know, be in a situation with my kids that I never would have foreseen. And, you know, it just was a really tough situation. So I hung in there and just really decided to dig in on personal development and change, and focus on myself, and focus on improving myself, and letting go of control and some of the things that I was clinging on to. And I'm happy to say that, you know, our marriage has never been stronger. I mean, we fully resuscitated, but even more so, I think we have a deeper relationship than ever. So it's interesting. I mean, it's affected, you know, my life. It's affected my relationships, my marriage. It's affected my business. But in the end, you know, I feel a lot wiser and a lot more empathetic for other people, you know, that struggle with these things, because, you know, I've written some pieces on bipolar and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And, you know, I've gotten a lot of outreach from that, or, you know, inbound emails, people that want to, you know, jump on a call and talk about it. And it's a lot of people are struggling out there, and they don't. I remember I did a talk on bipolar and called Crazy Success. You know, it was all about bipolar about 6 months after I was diagnosed. And people were like, "Are you crazy? Like, you're coming out and giving a talk at the, you know, it's like an incubator, and giving a talk here about this. Like, aren't you going to ruin your reputation?" And I said, you know, there's a chance that people are going to be afraid of working with me, or afraid of it because of the stigma with bipolar, or the stigma with somebody they know that had it and was crazy and that type of thing. But I'm willing to deal with that if it means, you know, helping people, even if that's just a few people along their journeys, and let them know that it's possible to be successful. It's possible to have healthy relationships and have bipolar, or be depressed, or have generalized anxiety. particularly when you're in the agency world where, things, hashtag agency life, right? I mean, it's busy, busy, busy. It's
Mm-hmm.
deadline, 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 go, go, go. And it's sometimes, mental health is kind of forgotten when you think about just all the things that you got to do. If you're an agency owner, for example, trying to start and run an agency and you have a family, I mean, it's a heavy load to carry if you're struggling with depression inside and nobody knows about it and you're kind of shielding it from everybody. So I'm not one to shield it. As you can tell, I mean, I'm kind of an open book for better or worse, but I found that that's connected me to people that are, typically more genuine and, upfront about things on their own as well. So.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I commend you for, for being brave and putting yourself out there like that. And I definitely sent you a message after one of the talks that you gave or something that I saw on the Facebooks that you had posted. So I appreciate that. And for anybody who's out there who might be dealing with some depression or, you have been diagnosed with bipolar or some sort of mental illness, don't be afraid, man. If Robby's out there,
yeah, good help. I mean, there's help available. Yeah, I was going to say, I've got you. And there's so many resources out there. And I think the thing to avoid is the internet, and Googling it and trying to get all your answers from the internet, because that gets pretty scary. But I think that, people have to know that there's always a way forward. There's always a way to get better, to get healthier, but it takes a decision. You have to decide that you want to be better and you want to, not necessarily overcome something like bipolar, but like I said, it's more optimization. It's more figuring out how do I live within this framework that is the way my brain works. So.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about that. So let's shift gears, man. Let's get into the agency stuff. So I want to hear all about your journey and how you got to where you're at. So I'll let you take it away. I know you said you started at 14, which is like incredibly young. So let's hear it, man. What's your story?
Yeah. I kind of stumbled into it. I was living up in the Cascade Mountains of California with my parents because I was 14 and essentially got my start designing websites for houses that were for sale by owner, and then quickly segued into small businesses. And we moved around a bit during those years. And so I remember, when I was 15, we moved to Cleveland, and we lived in Chardon, and there was a square there. And I would literally go around business to business with a flyer, pitching my services. And, I look back now and just chuckle. I can't believe these people took me seriously. But I ended up, my first deal was like a $500 website for a mortgage company, a small mortgage company. And back then, at my age, that was great. I was happy with that. And I remember him saying, well, where's your portfolio? And I said, I mean, you are my portfolio. I'm going to invest everything I can into this work, because this work is going to get me the next project and the next project. And he signed me a check on the spot and got started. The next one was a car dealership. And, I remember my mom just pulling up, kind of in the side of the car dealership in the minivan. And I jumped out of the minivan and kind of walked around in the front so nobody would see me, and came in and met with the owner of the dealership. And, it was kind of like Anchorman. You had many leather-bound books and, just an office that was super intimidating. And it's like, how are you going to help me? And a big, mustache and beard and everything. And I'm like pitching my services, and he signed me a check for $1,200. And so it just kind of proceeded and snowballed. I went to school for marketing and finance at 17 while I was running the business. By the time I was 18, I was doing six figures as far as my income, and then essentially decided to move to LA to relocate the business there, because we really built up a strong presence in LA through search engine optimization and directories and inbound content. And back in the day, you could get a lot done with SEO. And so I was getting all these leads and opportunities and felt like it was the land of opportunity. And so I found my way to LA. I had a business partner that owned 20%, and then one employee, and then a team based in Serbia. And I spent a lot of time in Serbia as well, web development team. And so I had a nice model, really low overhead, very profitable, and focused on, once I got out of the small business space, the decimal point kind of shifted, and I started to really focus on custom web applications and digital marketing and the branding and logo and all that kind of stuff. As well as startup custom social networks, social directories, things like that. When social was really popular in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, and people were looking for the next Facebook or the next MySpace kind of thing. And so had a lot of success. At 23, by that point, we were a 7-figure agency. very profitable. Our margins were fantastic. I was top 20 in their 20s by LA Business Journal. I was driving a 6 Series, living in Beverly Hills, just like, where am I? Who am I? How did I end up here? But I also, ended up going through some pain at 24, 10 years into the company. My ex-business partner embezzled a large sum of money over the course of about a year that I know of, but essentially took some clients, embezzled money, put us in a bad situation from a tax perspective. I mean, you name it, recession hit, we lost a big client. And I ended up spending about a year just resolving everything and getting every client taken care of, and then decided to shut down the agency. It just felt tainted to me and wanted to, go on and start a new path. And so that led me to working in leadership positions at 3 different agencies for a period of about 4 years, and then really was itching to start my own thing, and didn't really want to start an agency, but I wanted to. I was always most interested in sales, marketing, and business development, and that side of the house, and had a really strong network and strong relationships. So I decided, hey, let's start a company with my business partner called Bull and Beard, and we'll essentially be at the home inspector and help navigate down that path and kind of shake up the search consultancy model where with us there's no fee or obligation on the brand side. It's a seller's commission that the agency pays us that are in our collective. And then basically, we don't just make intros, we actually facilitate the sales process and streamline everything and, work on the brand's behalf, but also the agency's behalf to get a good mutual outcome. So that's proven to be a successful business model and something that has snowballed over the last 6 years that we've been around. And, the next evolution of that was really AgencyMatch, which we launched just last week. So AgencyMatch is a directory that's kind of like our black book revealed. And the way I should rewind a little bit, the way that we handle our agency collective, and we have hundreds of members, is they go through an agency review process, which is a 1-hour deep dive discovery call, reference checks, work review, putting a matchmaking agreement in place, NDA in place, all that good stuff. And then they're in our collective for consideration of projects. And so, our big thing is vetted and vouched for specialized agencies. And that's really our sweet spot is small to mid-size agencies that are fairly specialized. And then, on the brand side, mid-size to Fortune 1000 brands. So we, have done a lot of work, studying different directories out there and Clutch and Agency Spotter and Agency Finder and Top City and Uprank and Geek List and all the ones that are out there and found that a lot of these directories are somewhat of a cluster. I mean, you do a search for an agency and there are 1,000 results, and it's like, how's this a shortcut to my short list? They're location based, which doesn't make any sense anymore. Brands are making decisions based on capability, category experience, first and foremost, not necessarily location. And then the big components I think that AgencyMatch is very different on is the vetting process, that every agency goes through that agency review process and is approved to be in AgencyMatch, and we write the profiles. So Bull and Beard actually writes each agency's profiles from a third-party perspective. So agencies can navigate vetted and vouched for agencies, or brands can navigate vetted and vouched for agencies, looking at profiles that are written in kind of an Ebert and Roper style, kind of movie critic style, where we're giving them a perspective that's not just the agency saying, hey, we're the best, that type of thing. So we're really excited. We just launched last week, and there's a process obviously involved in onboarding agencies and them going through the review process and going through the profile creation process. But we already have, I think, 20 something live on the site, another 20 or something in the queue that need to be approved, another 50 that have committed, are ready to go, filling out the applications. So we feel like there's just strong traction, demand, and busy as ever, just getting people onboarded. And that's our goal, is to get approximately 40 a month and build it up to 500 agencies in the first year, 1,000 agencies the second year, and cap it at 1,000. We want to make sure that it's not a directory that's oversaturated. If somebody does a search by, hey, I'm looking for search engine optimization in financial services, I want them to get 10 or 15 results, not 500 or 1,000 results, which doesn't help. And there's no premium ads, there's no premium listings, there's no sponsorships. so everybody gets equal opportunity. It's a bit different in that way. So we're really excited about AgencyMatch because, like the real estate analogy, we're real estate agents showing houses. We could do that on the matchmaking side, but then we also have kind of a realtor.com where here's our listings. Now you choose who you want to contact directly. And with AgencyMatch, there's no commission. So if we do a matchmaking deal, there's a commission applied on the agency side. But if an agency gets an opportunity from AgencyMatch, they're not going to pay a commission. They just get that directly. They're paying for a listing fee. And then the other thing, the component to our business is the agency stable, which is a 400-person group on Facebook, a private Facebook group of agency owners that have been vetted. Really the group is just full of solid, engaging content. And I've been in a lot of agency groups, and there's kind of base level discussions and things that are just kind of a waste of time. This one's definitely not the case, and it's free for agency owners. Anybody that wants to join to join. It's not something that we charge for or anything like that. So that's really the three main pieces of the business.
Nice, man. So I have a question for you. So, it sounds like you're talking to a lot of agency owners as well as a lot of potential clients. Is that correct?
Yes, both. Exactly.
What would you say are some of the biggest issues that the agencies are experiencing and why they come to you?
I mean, I would say the biggest issue that agencies are experiencing is their own sales, marketing, and business development. I think that, we do agency reviews and we ask questions around what are you doing for your marketing activities, and then how would you rate your sales on a scale of 1 to 10, stuff like that. And the feedback that we consistently get is, we're a 3, we're a 4, we're a 2, not enough. I mean, really it's 5-10% of agencies come back with, we have a strong, marketing presence. We've got we're doing inbound, we're doing thought leadership, we're doing all these different things. And then we also have, maybe a sales team, or we're doing outreach, but that's few and far between. Most agencies are struggling, whether it's their positioning or, brand strategy components in terms of how they exist in the marketplace, to their offering, to, essentially, their sales and who they're reaching out to and how they're approaching that. And that's why I think they're really hungry for new business solutions and look at, okay, is it outsourced sales? Is it LinkedIn automation? Is it drip campaigns? Like, what's going to work for our agency? I think most agencies, when it comes to their own business, I wrote a piece for Forbes called "Are You Advertising Your Ad Agency?" And that's just because, like, most ad agencies ignore their own advertising, ignore their own marketing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a problem. It's a big problem because they can't make time, or clients come first, or, maybe they don't have the perspective they need. There's a lot of different reasons for that, but that's definitely why, we're in the sales, business as far as matchmaking and AgencyMatch, as that being an avenue to, an arrow in the quiver to create new business opportunities. But I always tell everybody that, hey, if you're looking at Bull and Beard and AgencyMatch as your be all end all, sales and new biz solution, then that's not the right way to look at it. It's just one thing that, can build a pipeline of opportunities to flow your way. So I think agencies are really struggling with, what works. We've tried AdWords, and we spent $30,000 on AdWords spend over the course of the year, and we got nothing from it. And we've tried Clutch, and we've just got, lower end opportunities and vendors reaching out to us. And we've tried so many different things. And the ones, ironically, the ones that have a consistent source of new business, they're like really obscure things that are leading to those leads. Like we're ranked as #1 for this thing on this page, and they give us like 5 leads a week, like stuff that's not duplicatable or scalable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that's what I find, like, or the agency, when I ask, what do you do for your sales and marketing? Word of mouth. Word of mouth is always the response. Word of mouth, which is code for nothing. We're not doing anything. We have no idea. But I think they're hungry for it. I think they're a little apt to be wary about investing in it. I think it's ironic because agencies really push the value of their services to their clients. But when it comes to looking at those services from the perspective of their own business, they get really cheap, and I think that can be a definite that can hurt the agency for sure if they're looking at it that way. They've got to present it to themselves like they present it to a client and say, okay, this plan makes sense. We need to now execute from it.
Yeah. So then let's flip it on the other side. What are some of the people that are coming to you looking for an agency? What are some of the most common things that they're looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, it really comes down to, first and foremost, capability and category experience is how they're going to reduce risk and align, if there's a good fit. So, okay, we want to make sure that they can do what our scope of work entails, or, what our AOR relationship entails. And we want to make sure that they've got relevant experience. That's the first things that they tend to look at. And then it tends to get into things like location, budgets, their character, their communication, their culture. Oftentimes, cultural alignment. If they have a good sense of the agency's culture and it aligns with their culture, that can lead to chemistry, and that can lead to. That's really the if factor, is chemistry. You start with capability, category experience, some of the pragmatic, rational things, and then when you have a mix of maybe 3 or 5 agencies at the table, bringing proposals, having conversations, usually the winner of the 3 to 5 is the one that the agency has the most chemistry with. It's where the personalities just mesh. They feel like they're completing each other's sentences, that kind of thing. And I'm doing a search right now where, there's I won't disclose how many agencies are involved, but there's a few agencies involved in the search. And each of them was really more of a pitch on the intro call and all about them, and then one agency, it was a conversation the entire time, and sure enough, that agency is selected into the final round, and I think a week or so, because the chemistry is so strong, because they really actually focus on the relationship piece.
Now, like when these companies that are coming to you and they're looking for an agency, I mean, what size are these projects? I mean, are these like multi-million-dollar projects, or are these like a $5,000 website?
Yeah, so no $5,000 websites, and there's no commission to be made on that. But I think it's worth our time in terms of our process, and
Yeah.
Again, not it just being, if we made intros, that would be one thing, and if we have a resource at a lower price point for something, then we can make that intro, but it's going to be more of a here you go, talk to them, versus we're actually going to be a part of the process and on the calls and helping make the decision. Most of our projects are 50K and up, and I'd say most are 6 figures, definitely into 7 figures, and into low 8 figures. But it really depends, on the brand, and I think a lot of it is project based. Definitely, AOR relationship searches are less of what we do on the matchmaking side, though we're working on one now. But a lot of it is project based, and then that leads to retainers. I mean, so we did some work with a Fortune 250 Fujitsu. We did 3 agency searches for in different areas, in search and PR and creative, and each of those relationships started with a project that was 25 or 50K or in that kind of range, but led to a long 2-year relationship and beyond. They're still working with them. Our commission period is for 2 years, and so we're looking at agencies that can really effectively sell themselves into the project, but also develop a long-term relationship, because then everybody wins. They win with a deep long-term relationship. We win because we get a commission off of any incremental projects that they get in that account. So it's a good situation for us to find those types of fits.
That's awesome, man.
But definitely, I'd say minimum is going to be 50. Minimum is going to be usually 50K to work with, and then from there up. And sometimes we don't have a fit. I have one right now that their budget is at 50, but in terms of the scope of work, it's just they're asking too much, and so that's where we get protective of our collective as well. I don't want to bring those types of opportunities to the collective and waste their time if I know that it just doesn't add up. So I'll actually go back to the brand and say, can we talk about budget? Can we try to negotiate? Like, this is just off, and give them kind of a neutral third-party perspective. And sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't. And if it doesn't, then we'll just say, you know what, we don't have a match that's a good fit. We're not gonna make it. So.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, this sounds like a great program, especially because I know that a lot of agencies, they struggle when it comes to trying to find those big projects. So this could be an amazing resource for them. For everybody who's listening, what's the best way that somebody can reach out to you, Robby?
Yeah, so really easy, all over the interwebs. Basically, Robby@bullandbeard.com, ROBBY@bullandbeard.com is my email address. Bullandbeard.com is our main agency collective site. AgencyMatch.co is our directory. And if you go to our Bull and Beard website, scroll down to join our communities. We have the Founders Salon, the CMO Rodeo, and the Agency Stable, and those are free communities. So feel free to click on the Agency Stable. definitely get connected there. And then, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Plus, if it's still around. I thought it was going away, but I think it's still kind of hanging out. And there's, any social platform, I'm out there.
Awesome. And who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
Perfect person. Well, I mean, a brand with millions of dollars to spend, that would be perfect. But no, I'd say it would be definitely the small to mid-sized specialized agencies that know their positioning well, that have limited capabilities, limited category experience, and have a really narrow focus. Those tend to do the best within our collective and within AgencyMatch. And I think, on the brand side, it's the mid-sized to Fortune 1000s that are looking to, have somebody reduce their risk and streamline the search process, and really not have to pay for that either, just have that absorbed on the agency side. So agencies that are hungry for new business, that's who we want. But if you've got to be an agency, you don't have to be an agency where there's pedigree, but you have to have an agency with heart, an agency that's got strong positioning and know how to sell. Sometimes I'll talk to an agency and, while they on paper are a good fit, I can tell from the first introduction that, wow, they don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to have a sales conversation. And I look for that, because I can't put them in front of my Fortune 250 client and have that happen. So,
right.
So we like to build relationships slowly. That's why we do the agency review, and that's why we have, join our community and just really get to know each other over time through projects, and have the relationship snowball from there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We got Robby Berthume with Bull & Beer. Definitely reach out to him if you're an agency owner and you feel like his services can be of help to you. To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Thanks so much.